On this episode, Brian looks at some comics he picked up at Jim Hanley's Universe this past week. They're older comics, but ones that he is going to tell you should buy.
Yeah.
You should listen to him.
Yeah, a lot of this is kind of some obscure stuff. I do like more obscure comics usually.
I do not.
Right. Chad's more Marvel, DC, superheroes, that kind of stuff. I look for weird stuff off the beaten path usually.
That's why we're a good team.
Yes, right. And over at Jim Hanley's, I got a couple of things on discount, and they are really
Oh, they have that
fun.
sale now, 25% off back issues. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. So what the first one I wanted to bring up is a series. It's a 3-issue limited series called Bizarre Hands. And the reason I got it was the name at the top. It's Joe R. Lansdale's Bizarre Hands. Joe R. Lansdale's a great horror writer. Writes a lot of good novels, a lot of good short stories. He writes comics. He's edited.
Brian reads a lot.
Yeah. He's very, very good. These are comic book adaptations of some of his short horror stories. And his style is very, very, very surreal, kind of mixed with Southern Gothic. So if you like things like David Lynch movies, for example, you might like some of this stuff. Or Clive Barker's stories. You might enjoy some of Joe Lansdale's stuff. Again,
What year is it from? Do you know when they're from?
These are from, I believe these are from 1993. Where these were originally printed. Got 3 of these for about $5.
So it might not be easy to find, but I'm sure if you hit your local comic shop, maybe they can pull it out of their old boxes for you.
Yeah, or maybe order it on the back issue somewhere. I'm positive you won't pay a lot for it. I can't imagine it was that popular.
We give you recommendations, and they're usually cheap.
Yeah.
So
The second thing I grabbed in my...
originally he wasn't going to talk about these, but now he's going to.
Well, just a few minutes. Search for Obscurity. Another package deal, Atomic Age from 1994. This takes place in 1957, where an alien comes to Earth and they're fighting other aliens. Basically, like an alien fight occurring on Earth, 1957. I grabbed it because I really like Prestige, the old Prestige formats. These are nice, like...
Yeah, they're much thicker than regular comic books are. They have a little bit more pages in them.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't see these anymore. And what was the cover price on them?
I got all 4 of them. Oh, these are $4.50 originally.
That's a lot for back then.
But I got all 4 of them.
That's the Prestige. They charged you more money for the
I got all
Prestige.
4 of them for about $5.
Not bad.
And I love the old 1950s style.
Who's making them?
These were put out by Epic.
Epic,
which I don't think exists anymore. Epic had some really good titles.
Really good titles back in the 90s.
And these are written by Frank Levis and illustrated by Mike Akamoto. It's fun stuff.
Don't know who they are.
Real fun. If you see it anywhere, Atomic Age, pick it up. It's good. Now, my last one is, not my last, my second to last. I'm sorry. One of the great English imports to comic books, Martial Law. I got this number
Dredd-ish.
1. Very Dredd-ish. Very, very much like Judge Dredd. The big deal, the reason that I picked this up was it's illustrated by Kevin O'Neill, who also illustrated The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Kevin O'Neill passed away a few months ago, and his work is really,
You're honoring
really
him
good.
by buying those?
Yes. Really, really good. You can see some of the bizarre styles. This takes place in sort of a apocalyptic future where martial law is trying to keep the superheroes in line. The superheroes are getting a little out of control, and martial law is the only one who can.
And who published
smack
this?
them.
You know,
This is Epic too.
Brian's on an Epic craze.
Yeah, Epic did a pretty good job of bringing a lot of these old English comics, not old, but English comics into America during the British invasion of the 90s.
It's funny, when I was collecting, and I've been collecting for a long time, in the late 80s, early 90s, I always had heard rumblings of Judge Dredd comics like that.
2000
couldn't find them anywhere here. Yeah. Like, nobody really carried them here. They weren't plentiful. I'm having the same issue now, strangely enough, with Captain Canuck. Captain Canuck is a Canadian-based...
I like Captain Canuck.
I love Captain Canuck. I actually recently met the creator at a show. They're fantastic, but they don't come here. I have to special order them. I think I'm actually the only person in my comic shop that's getting them, which is the case for quite a few different things. See, I do buy weird things too. Still superhero related, but weird nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the British invasion comics of the late 80s, early 90s. No, things like Neil Gaiman and Grant Morrison. And
those are Brian's favorites. He talks about them all the time.
Alan Moore, the old Vertigo titles. If you ever look up the old Vertigo stuff from DC, it's great. Great stuff.
Watchmen.
Look up something like, The Watchmen, Black Orchid. Sandman, Preacher.
Yeah, very different than the superhero comics that I read. That Brian reads. Brian reads more literature, basically.
I'm all over the
He's
place.
more high scale than I am.
I like
He's high society.
Now, the last thing I wanted to
With a
bring up
monkey on
was
his shirt.
in our very first issue, Chad gave me Twilight
Episode.
Zone #1.
Our first episode, comics issues, YouTube's episodes.
Oh yeah, sorry, confusing my mediums. Our first episode, Chad gave me Twilight Zone #1 that he found at a dollar
It was
bin
a
somewhere.
gift.
I opened this up and was shocked at what was inside. Shocked.
I had no idea when I bought this.
I was shocked. This issue was scripted by the one and only Harlan Ellison.
one of his favorite writers. I
Great,
had no idea.
great science fiction, fantasy, and horror writer, Harlan Ellison, who also passed away a couple of years ago. And it's illustrated by the one and only Neil Adams.
And that's unmistakable Neil Adams art.
Neil Adams, here, take a look. Just take a look.
Why don't we flip through that?
Oh, yeah. Neil Adams, for a lot of people, especially through the 80s,
Yeah.
kind of gave a really definitive look to the Batman comic books.
Green Lantern, Green Arrow, too.
Yep, yeah. And, I knew a lot of them from Batman.
Me too.
The Neil Adams Batman was the Batman I mostly grew up with. Look at some of those.
I mean, it's some artists are unmistakable. Neil Adams is one of them. Jack Kirby is one of them.
Yeah.
There's some that are just, in this episode, I'm wearing a Mr. Miracle shirt, so that's my Jack Kirby homage.
Yeah.
But John Byrne, some of them are just unmistakable
Yeah,
artists.
absolutely.
Neil Adams, who passed away recently also, is unmistakable.
So this actually goes to show you that sometimes you find something in a dollar bin, and you might be really surprised at what's inside.
That's why I go in dollar bins. I mean, you saw in you're going to see in an episode coming up, I bought 93 comics for $1 or less, and some of them are huge bangers, like big comics that I got for $1. It's worth going through them. To me, actually, it's more like therapy. I go through them, and it's therapeutic for me. I don't have to think about the world when I go through them.
You okay?
Yeah,
All right.
it costs less money than a psychiatrist. I go through comic bins. That's what we do.
And then every now and again, you get a Neil Adams.
Shocker! I had no idea he worked on that. And who put that? Now Comics.
Now
We love
Comics.
Now Comics. Now Comics is
They did the original Fright
Fright
Night.
Night. Love that. We're gonna do a whole episode on that later on. All the Fright Night, the current ones, and the past ones.
Absolutely. So,
I'm glad I bought it for you now.
yeah, what did we learn?
We learned that searching dollar bins.
Search the dollar bins, look to the old comics, look for weird stuff, because you never know what you're going to find. You might find your favorite thing.
For Brian, I'm going to buy weird stuff. And I say, oh, you're getting some really weird ones coming up. Next show I go to watch what the weird stuff Brian's going to get. I'm going to have to blur it out next time.
That's it. I'm going to bring in all my obscure stuff now and be like, just talk about why it's
And
great.
on this week's episode of Brian Likes Weird Stuff, Brian likes weird stuff.
Look for my upcoming episode on Justice Incorporated.
And so, remember, when you're looking through dollar bins, or you're looking to buy the toys you buy, or you're looking to buy whatever you buy what you love.
Love what you buy.
See you next time.